things were more beautiful than I could ever imagine. It was past anything that I would believe that it would be like.
The colors were so alive that the most beautiful day on earth is just a reflection of those colors.
The greens were greener, the yellows, the golds, the blues, everything reminded me that earth is a reflection of heaven, but heaven is perfection.
So one of the commonalities of near-death experiences is they experience beauty in new dimensions of time and space. Flowers, trees, mountains, forests, in colors more vibrant than we can imagine. And they are not limited in their experience of beauty like we are here.
And now I'm flying like an airplane, coming in, slowing down, descending, and I get this incredible airborne view of the holy city of God.
About 52% of people having a near-death experience describe beauty in this heavenly realm that is beyond anything on earth, things that are absolutely spectacular.
It seemed like everything there was glad I was there. The trees were glad I was there, the flowers were glad I was there, the water was glad I was there. Everything was alive, there was nothing dead, and everything was intelligent. And whether we realize it or not, we're always smelling decay on the planet. But in heaven, there's nothing dying.
Everything was far more intense. The colors, the aromas, the flowers were such that I felt that I could not only see them, but I understood them.
Gorgeous, beautiful, all of the adjectives, but it's beyond words.
Hey, welcome back to the What's Afterlife conversation. You know, if you weren't here, in week 1, we looked at the evidence for whether these people are truly dead. And then last week, we took a look at how they talk about relational reunions, that when they have these near-death experiences, they see loved ones. We also looked at this fascinating correlation that when I studied the world's religions and what they say about the life to come, of the 40 very specific descriptions that I found NDEers saying, a full 38 out of the 40 are reported in the Jewish scriptures and the Christian scriptures. I find that fascinating. How did the Jewish prophets and Jesus know what modern NDEers would say? Well, this week, we're going to explore the beauty of what these NDEers are calling heaven. For those of you who have a religious background, Christian, Jewish, Hindu, or others, you know, have you ever heard descriptions of heaven that made you think it's this misty, ethereal, impersonal, or maybe even just plain boring existence somewhere? I remember a Far Side cartoon years ago, you know, showed a bored individual looking at others, kind of feet dangling on a cloud, they're playing harps, and one said to the other, I should have brought a magazine. You know, but NDEers tell us it's the opposite. It's all the beauty of earth and much more. You know, the Jewish prophet Isaiah in about 750 BCE saw a vision of heaven and heard the angels crying, "Holy, holy, holy is the Lord Almighty. The whole earth is full of His glory." If that's true, then all the beauty and majesty, the wonders of earth point to the beauty, majesty, and wonder of the Creator. So why would we ever think that God's world, heaven, is less real or less tangible or less beautiful? The man who wrote much of the Christian New Testament, Paul, who, as we saw, may have even had a near-death experience, he said this in one of his letters, "No eye has seen, no ear has heard, no mind has imagined what God has prepared for those who love Him." What if it's better than you can imagine? Because what we love about life on earth will be present there, but with so much more to explore and experience. All across the globe, young and old who have had a near-death experience describe a beauty much like earth. Mountains, meadows, rivers, flowers, trees, animals, yet it's all experienced in new dimensions of time and space. Even blind people I studied saw the same beauty. Now, I find this is one of the most compelling areas science has investigated, pointing to the authenticity of these NDE reports. Blind people report seeing in their near-death experience grass, trees, fields, palm trees, an enormous walled city. These blind NDEers also describe a light coming out of everything. Though the light is brighter than the sun, they said they can easily look at it, and it conveys love and life. Blind people describe this otherworldly light the same exact way sighted NDEers do. They describe what the Jewish prophet Isaiah reported in his experience of heaven, and what John, one of Jesus' followers, writes in the New Testament about this super reality, earthy yet more vibrant and alive. Listen to what John describes in his vision of heaven in the book of Revelation. After this I looked, and people from every nation, tribe, people, and language were wearing white robes and were holding palm branches in their hands. He will lead them to springs of life-giving water. He took me in the Spirit to a great high mountain. He showed me the holy city, Jerusalem. And the city had no need of sun or moon, for the glory of God illuminates the city, and the Lamb is its light, and the nations will walk in that light. Then the angel showed me a river with the water of life, clear as crystal, flowing from the throne of God and the Lamb, and it flowed down the center of a main street. On each side of the river grew a tree of life bearing 12 crops of fruit. Now, many NDEers claim that this light and love and life is the glory of God shining out of everything. That's why the color spectrum that NDEers report seeing is so far beyond the sun's color spectrum, because it's the light of God that people are walking in. But how in the world would a blind person ever know that? Because think about it, light on earth shines on things, not out of everything, and yet blind NDEers describe the same beauty, light, and love just like NDEers who've had sight all their lives.
My eyes were obviously completely enhanced, completely strengthened.
In my survey, 74.4% reported heightened senses. They were actually able to see much more clearly than in earthly life. Even people with severely impaired vision or blindness were able to see with perfect vision in their near-death experience.
I could see something infinitely far away as if it was right in front of me. I could see the trees and the flowers, and I could see every detail. I could see every individual blade of grass.
In heaven, we can hear it all, take in it all, just like we can all the sights of heaven, the aromas of heaven, which are sweet and overwhelming. It's a buffet for the senses. It's a sensory explosion.
It seemed like all my senses took on the other attributes of the senses. So even though I could hear it, it seemed like I could also see it with my hearing.
People talk about how their experience on the other side is more lucid, more aware, more conscious, not just 5 senses. Some describe it as having 50 senses. It's life, but it's life without the limitations that we've experienced.
It's almost like I was gliding like on a people mover that you have in the airport or something like that. And there was a pathway that was laid before me. And so I started moving in that direction.
There was some sort of shift in terms of time or dimension. I was in this experience for what felt to me like many, many, many hours. But in fact, the entire thing was probably 30 minutes.
There in heaven, time is there to serve, not to be served like it is here on earth.
Because NDEers say we will experience new dimensions of time and space, we can explore it all. NDEers confirm many of the same things reported by people who claim to see Jesus after his resurrection. You know, if you read about the resurrection of Jesus in the Bible, you come across some things that can be a bit confusing. Like his followers claim they recognized him, touched him, he ate fish, he had a real body, and yet he could come and go in a blink. And then at one point he floated up out of their sight and disappeared. Now, NDEers describe a similar otherworldly ability. So imagine if this is true. What if the world to come will look familiar on one level, but be expanded into new dimensions of time and space? Imagine the possibilities. And time is different too, NDEers commonly report. Not just one-dimensional, but 1,000 years is like a day. A day is like 1,000 years, they'll say. Just like Peter, one of Jesus' followers, writes in the New Testament. NDEers confirm this. And travel, they say, can either be moving along, kind of floating along, or in a thought, you're there. Imagine beauty rivaling the most amazing places on earth. I mean, what if our playgrounds of exploration are as vast as the universe? Imagine it. Here are some questions that you can discuss. Well, I hope you're enjoying the conversation. I have a final thought on the beauty of heaven. You know, life here, while beautiful in places, is very broken too. Marred by deadly weather, natural disasters, pollution, decay. And Paul in the New Testament reflects on why earth is so difficult. He says, with eager hope, the creation looks forward to the day when it will join God's children in glorious freedom from death and decay. For we know that all creation has been groaning, as in the pains of childbirth, right up to the present time. You know, this earth and all its beauty labors in famine, disease, death, chaos. So just imagine creation as it was meant to be under God's leadership. But why has God done things this way? I mean, what is God thinking? And who is this God in D-Eater's experience? Well, join us next week as we hear from them about the God of light and love.
This light was shining over my shoulders.
Brighter than any light I've ever seen, even the sun.
This was really a light born out of love.
I knew I was in the presence of God.